right, welcome everyone to the Comic Panel. I'm Cody.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Chawienta.
And for those who are listening for the first time, we are a bi-weekly radio show podcast comic book club covering any and everything regarding comics and manga. We have each co-host pick a book that follows a specific theme and review a book for every episode. Then we wrap up the theme with a retrospective episode covering our opinions and favorite moments from each of the books. And today we have a very special guest, Nat Yonce from the podcast Collective Action Comics. Thank you for being on the show, Nat.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. Today we are continuing our theme of Superman, the original superhero who fights for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. This episode, we're taking a look at Superman Phantom Zone, a 4-part miniseries, plus the conclusion issue, DC Comics Presents number 97, written by Steve Gerber, with pencils by Colan and Rick Veitch, inks by Tony Zunga and Bob Smith, and colors by Carl Gafford and D'Angelo, and letters by Milt Snapin and Costanza. So, for this story, it takes place in the pre-Crisis DC universe before the events of the comic Crisis on Infinite Earths, where the Superman mythos gets rebooted. It tells the tale of Charlie Quiskel, a wrongly convicted Kryptonian who is banished to the Phantom Zone, an ethereal dimension where inhabitants are trapped and can see the physical world but cannot interact with it and are like phantoms. The Phantom Zone was discovered by Superman's dad, Jor-El, and it was used on Krypton as a prison for the most egregious criminals. In previous Superman stories, Charlie was freed from the Phantom Zone since he was innocent and exposed to golden kryptonite, which strips Kryptonians of their superpowers and their memories. Now Charlie lives as a human, unaware he was ever a Kryptonian. When the story begins, Charlie is exhausted because at night the criminals in the Phantom Zone have been sending telepathic messages to Charlie that cause him to sleepwalk and steal technology so that he builds a Phantom Zone projector, the device used for entering and exiting the Phantom Zone. Once it is complete and Charlie turns it on, they are able to escape while trapping Charlie and their enemy, Superman, in the Phantom Zone. The rest of the book follows Superman and Charlie as they try to escape the Phantom Zone while learning more about what it really is. Meanwhile, the Kryptonian criminals cause general mayhem and enact their revenge by building a giant Phantom Zone cannon and pointing it at the Earth to send the entire planet to the Phantom Zone. In the final chapter, it is revealed that the Phantom Zone is actually a cloud of consciousness that is a protective barrier for the mind of the disembodied god called Ether. After the events of the initial miniseries, Ether decides that he needs a physical body to keep others from traversing the Phantom Zone, as Superman did, and invading his realm. So he enlists the help of Mr. Mxyzptlk, the fifth-dimensional imp and enemy of Superman, since he already has reality-altering powers. The Ether Mxyzptlk combo proceeds to take the whole of the blown-up Kryptonian city Argo City that has been irradiated into kryptonite and throw it into the Earth, causing a giant impact and shockwave, while also causing much of the Earth to have kryptonite on the surface, making it inhospitable for Superman to set foot on the planet. The Phantom Zone criminals are also set free to wreak more havoc on the people of Earth. The story ends with the Earth in ruins and Superman left confused. So, Nat, you chose this book. Can you tell us why you wanted to read it?
Yeah, there is, obviously for anybody who reads superhero comics, we are all familiar with the fact that none of them end, right? They don't end. They just keep going, right?
Yeah.
But we have, with Superman, 3 unofficial endings from the original pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths run. And that is Superman number 416, this book, and then, of course, the famous Alan Moore story, imaginary story, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow.
Right.
And all 3 represent different approaches to the end of Superman. You know, in Superman 416, you've got Superman basically fixing Lex Luthor, and they just become sort of galaxy traversing pals in the distant future, and we never get to see their buddy comedy, but you know, it's a really sweet ending. It's very nice. And then Alan Moore's ending is sort of mean-spirited, I think. A lot of people don't really approach it that way, but it is a very odd approach to an end to Superman, which is that Superman breaks his code of not killing and ends up having to kill Mr. Mxyzptlk at the end, who's sort of gone Super Saiyan like he does in this one.
Yeah.
And in doing so, he decides to sacrifice his life as Superman by going into the room in the Fortress of Solitude that holds the gold kryptonite and losing all his powers voluntarily. But this one is Superman fails, right? He doesn't do anything against his code. He just doesn't win. And we're left on a note of this idea that the story is over and Superman can't do anything about it because of, as you said in that very good summary, Earth is not his home anymore. Earth is inhospitable to him because of the crimes of Mr. Mxyzptlk, and we don't know where Superman's going to go after this, or if there is anywhere for him to go after this. And I think that is such an interesting take on how to end the comic.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. That's a great answer, and I'm really glad that for this this set of episodes we've been doing with the theme of Superman that we've read Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. Unfortunately, have not read Superman 416, but it is really interesting because like when I was reading that final issue, it really did feel like in a video game that has multiple endings, like, oh, this is the bad ending.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, it was, it's definitely a very interesting way to, end the pre-crisis universe.
I do have a question because originally when I was reading it, it was like, okay, there's 4 issues. It keeps saying like, this is issue 2 of 4. And then you get there and it's like, and the real last issue is this 5th one. Is that like, did that happen at the time? Because it really does seem like an ending with the 4th issue. And then there's actually a 5th issue with the real ending.
No. So yeah, the initial 4 issues were published in 1982. And then, and they just, that was the story.
Mm-hmm.
And then Crisis on Infinite Earths happens in 85. And then this DC Comics Presents, it gets published in 1986. And you saw on the cover probably a tale from the pre-crisis universe, you know?
Yeah. Huh. The final chapter of the Phantom Zone for real this time.
Yeah.
For real this time.
Yeah, it was interesting to like kind of like be like, why? Yeah. And I I'm surprised that I guess at least in the collection that I read, I was surprised that there was no like front matter, like no editor interview or anything like that. Because I would be interested to just get like, more information on the publishing of this story. Now that we have some background, let's get into what we liked and disliked about this book. Yeah, I think that it's really like, I like that it facilitates the story between a lot of characters, and I think it does that really well. We have like all of the Kryptonians from the Phantom Zone that escape, Superman and Charlie, and then also Supergirl and the other heroes of Earth that are featured.
So you like the star-studded cast?
I mean, I guess it's not just that it had a lot of characters. I think that it's that I feel like they
played an important role, sort of.
Yeah, and used them effectively, I think.
Yeah, I kind of realized that how often I feel like Wonder Woman gets pushed aside, and she got to do some interesting things in this alongside Supergirl. Like, I don't tend to care about Supergirl except when she's dying or not finding out about her death.
Yeah, yeah.
But she, they got to show off their powers and do some cool stuff in the story.
Yeah, Elongated Man was in there for one panel.
Yeah.
True.
I think this is as close as we're going to get from a Superman comic to a body horror story. There's a real viscerality to it that I think doesn't really get explored a lot. And also when it comes to Supergirl particularly, because when she gets tossed into the Kryptonian molten reactor or whatever it is, it talks about her fingers digging into something and how it hurts her that way. Steve Gerber loves to talk about her legs. It's kind of weird, but he says it multiple times. That you've got Batman's hands getting crunched by the mad Kryptonian priest. You have Namek, the Kryptonian scientist who injected himself with Rondor's serum and changed his body, and then he melts but comes back because he's immortal.
Yeah.
You've got the people burning to death. The guy that burns people's brains burns alive himself because he simply can't control it once he's, for the very first time ever, exposed to kryptonite. Right? You've got the one lady that is his partner in crime, basically. She literally just makes people convulse because she makes their brains not work too good. There is so much physicality to this, and so much of the body that gets turned into a weapon. Like the third issue has maybe my very favorite cover of a Superman story ever, which is the priest with the exploding planet head. Very weird to say. Go look it up if you're just listening to this and haven't looked up the story. But they get to this place of peace, and then all of these women's heads start blowing up and irradiating Superman with kryptonite. After having been red sun faces. This is parallel to Supergirl and her in this kryptonite molten slag, basically. There's a lot going on here with the body that I think gets explored,
as well as mentally, like these whole trials they go through.
Yeah,
it's really different from a typical Superman story.
yeah. I was gonna say something similar where it's all like, there's definitely a psychological and semi like psychedelic feeling of like unease in Superman and Charlie's journey, where it's just like you can't really trust anything in your reality. And things like, Superman references that he's like, oh yeah, me and Batman were here a different time in a World's Finest issue. It's like, so things feel familiar, but they're also not. It's not the same. And that's that the unease of the, like, rather than, just having the confidence of knowing that nothing is, as it seems, or even that nothing is the same as what you're used to, thinking that you can trust your experiences and then finding out that you can't is almost a little bit scarier.
Yeah, Superman becomes the first person to ever get hurt in the Phantom Zone.
Wow, yeah. That's a good point.
There's something along those lines about the physical aspect that I found really good for a Superman story. It's always like, oh, he can't be shot. He can't, he's impenetrable. But the fact that these are all other Kryptons or whatever.
Kryptonians.
And they say literally like, we have all the same powers as you. So checkmate. Like, Superman's not special anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when the two young punks are at that rock show, and again, this kind of plays into the sort of body horrorness of it, and they like get threatened with a knife, and so the girl just grabs it out of the guy's hand and just stabs her own neck with it, and it just breaks the knife.
Yeah.
That's tough as nails.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And also when they like first are walking out of the building too, and the cop like shoots them, and then it just like bounces back and kills them.
Yeah, they don't even notice.
Yeah, they don't notice. Completely unfazed. Also, just because it's right near the same set of pages, I just remembered too that I thought it was very silly, but also funny, and I liked it, that like they pick up Superman's giant key to the Fortress of Solitude, you know, that's supposed to be super heavy.
Just ram through the door with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's no rules for them, really.
Yeah.
That's so good. I didn't even. I'm flipping back to that right now because I didn't even realize that they were sort of transgressive like that instead of just using it like a key.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
hilarious.
just like a golden age superhero story. It's like, what do they get out of sending the Earth to the Phantom Zone? Nothing really, except
It's
Superman
funny.
likes it, so it's got to go to the Phantom Zone.
Right?
It's
Just bragging
funny.
rights at that point.
Yeah.
You guys just don't have a sense of humor.
Yeah. I mean, you know, wouldn't that be something too if they succeeded in sending the Earth to the Phantom Zone? And like, I mean, and then Superman escapes from the Phantom Zone, and then they like, I guess maybe this Superman probably knows how to construct a Phantom Zone projector himself, but like if he couldn't get back to the Earth in any way.
Well, apparently he can just go to Oa and get the Green Lanterns to construct one, and that'll work.
No, the Owens don't necessarily have access to the Phantom Zone. They just it was
Well, no, but they just what I'm saying is like at the end, Supergirl just had to tell Green Lantern what the Phantom Zone projector did.
Oh yeah.
And Green Lantern's like, duh, okay.
Like, yeah, that'll work.
That's a good point, actually.
A question that arises that I just thought of, that's sort of a kind of a big flaw in their plan, right? Is that the Phantom Zone separates you from the physical reality. But what happens when you bring that physical reality with you into the Phantom Zone? Like, would anybody notice that they're in the Phantom Zone if the entire Earth goes with them?
Can't touch
It's like in
anything
Pinky and the Brain, in one episode, they make a whole Chia Earth, and like they're gonna rule the regular Earth while distracting people with this new heavenly body. But everybody just moves to the Earth that they've just grown, and nobody notices anything different.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, you know, I guess one thing would be that the sun, well, yeah, they would, I guess you would be able to notice from space because the solar system would go crazy with the sudden disappearance of like gravitational bodies and stuff.
That's a fair point. I guess they couldn't touch each other either because that's implied when Zod touches Feora.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Anyway, it's still a funny joke, and I don't retract it.
Yeah, no, that's I agree.
It's not even destroying the Earth, really, right? We're just putting it away in a safe place so it can't hurt itself.
And also, they would, so they wouldn't be able to have any like new people, any new children, and they would never die either. Which I mean does get into like I'm really glad that I read this comic because I have always wondered a lot about the inner workings of the Phantom Zone, and it's kind of a pretty evil prison system. Like, they're just.
I mean, I think part of that speaks to like the Krypton being like so advanced, it's come all the way back around to being backwards. It's like, how are the two solutions you came up with to address crime is send them in a sarcophagus to space and send them to an extra dimension.
Solitary confinement, but not really solitary.
Yeah, and I can't remember.
That brings us to maybe the greatest moment in this whole book, which comes from the very first issue, and it's what I think separates Steve Gerber from other writers of Superman in his just like relentless thoughtfulness, where Charlie is dreaming about all the different criminals on Krypton, and I mean all the different ones, right? The cavalcade of criminals. And one of the pieces of narration says, "What's wrong with these people?" Charlie wonders, meaning how can a civilization so outwardly advanced produce such a collection of fiends?
Yes, I love that line.
Chilling.
Yeah.
Well, I also really appreciate in general, that section, like the setup a little bit, I was like, why are we learning about this? Like, I don't know who Charlie is, why he's seeing all this. I mean, I guess that's the intrigue part, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the setup and then seeing how their character arcs of these villains are on Earth, you know, they're continuing their past ways, most of them. They're not learning.
Yeah.
So what does that say about the fandom zone? And then once again, reflecting back on the planet they came from.
Right. Yeah.
It's not really a solution, was it?
Yeah, it's definitely not rehabilitative.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, and I think it's Jor-El in the final chapter that like or maybe it's the like executioner guy. I can't remember who says it, but it's something about like you know, it's basically just to make people feel better about the fact that...
I think it was Zod who was saying that.
Oh, was it Zod?
He's like,
yeah.
You just feel better because you can't see us now, I think.
Yeah, and you know, like, you know, technically you're not killing them, you know? Like, they're still alive. It's so much more torturous. I mean, unless...
Yeah,
go ahead.
Do any of you know the poet and Trappist monk Thomas Merton?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
he was like an anti-nuclear activist, like way back in the day. He used to write for like a really progressive Catholic magazine. I'm not like a Catholic or anything. I just know of him from my research.
Okay.
He wrote a poem that was about. It was from the point of view of a Nazi death camp administrator. Taking somebody on a tour of the premises, and the final line, or one of the final lines, is, "Do not think yourselves better than us because you burn your enemies from far away." And that really reminds me of Zod here.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Oof.
Any hoozle.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, one thing about the characterization of these you know, criminal Kryptonians is that I feel like Steve Gerber does better than I've seen other writers of the time, but I do feel like there's I don't know, just kind of a standard tropeness to is it Feora who's the one that just like kills like men and
evil woman.
Yeah, very much like the the crazed
she's a seductress, right?
Seductress, yeah. Like, I mean, she doesn't like, yeah, I feel like it starts to almost overlap with like when Valkyrie gets like written at the same time. If any of you have read Avengers or Defenders, which Steve Gerber was also a writer on Defenders too. I just remembered that. But yeah, just that kind of like man-hating characterization.
Is she supposed to be a foil to this other character?
I mean, I definitely do see, like, there's definitely, I think there's something happening with Superman, Supergirl, Zod, Feora, and then I'm forgetting the name of, like, the ones with the mental powers.
Oh, the twins. I mean, they're not twins.
Oh, Azrael and Nadira.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like they all, like, you know, have that like pairing. I'm not sure if I see a specific thing that Gerber is trying to do. Maybe if I really if anybody else feels like there's something there, but yeah.
I did kind of keep wondering why they had to tell me again and again. She really had it out for guys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know, it's interesting because all of these other, or almost all of these other characters are products of the Silver Age, and Feora and Namek are 70s additions to the canon. I actually just bought the very second issue with Feora in it when I was visiting my folks in Tennessee. I had hoped it was the first appearance, but it's actually the issue right after that where they're just still continuing the storyline. But yeah, she's always been a firecracker.
Okay, so these are pre-established characters.
Oh yeah, this book is a tour de force of Steve Gerber telling us everything he remembers about previous Superman stories.
That makes me appreciate it more. I was like, these are some cool characters you just came up with.
Well, you had mentioned like you don't know who Charlie was, and like that's really interesting to me because I went in already knowing Quetzal,
Okay.
from the Silver Age.
Yeah. No, I think that the majority of us, actually, I'll just say all of us, because we've been covering Superman the last couple of episodes, have not actually read a lot of pre-crisis Superman. Probably very, very little. So,
I mean, it's dated, don't get me wrong, but it's unbelievably imaginative. Like once you readjust your expectations and your mindset, it's incredibly rewarding because the Silver Age has these wonderful, expansive storylines that are self-contained within each single book. And it also is incredibly emotional. Like it wears its heart on its sleeve. And once you get past the fact that the characters are basically just yelling at you about how they feel constantly, it's actually really good.
Yeah. No, I totally believe you on that because like, I've seen, online, like more and more people getting into pre-crisis, DC, like Superman and Supergirl, and Superboy. But also I have a friend who's been getting into it and like, will sometimes post like a page or a cover, and then like explain what's happening too. And it's like, yeah, okay, these are good stories. And I always kind of knew too, I think that there's some sort of like 2000s or maybe even before psyop. Maybe it started with Crisis, but like to say that Silver Age and Golden Age comics were not good somehow.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great way to put it, a psyop.
I will say, when I was starting to read this, I went, oh my god, it's 160 pages, and every single panel has like a caption I need to read as well, or like a narration or whatever. I sometimes when we read some of these comics, I go, I'm just gonna start skipping these and just look at what the panel has. Like if it can't tell me through just the panel, like the visuals, then maybe it wasn't that important anyway. But I ended up reading all of it. And it was a lot. It was a lot to get through, but I liked it.
Yeah, we read earlier this year as part of our plant comic theme. We read Man Thing, and that was also Steve Gerber. And I feel this is, I don't know, I feel like it flows a lot better than that did.
I feel that too.
So yeah,
was there anything you didn't like about it? I mean, we've discussed a little bit. Yeah,
I think that. I mean, I appreciate Nat your interest in the way that this ends, but I'm not sure it left me feeling wanting, like and so yeah, there's like a part of me that like, almost even sections it off as like an alternate ending or something, just like, I don't know, it just like it leaves you so cold, which I do feel is purposeful, but yeah, it's just like,
it's also incredibly abrupt.
Yeah,
it really is. I read all of the 4 issues together, and then I left the last issue. I was like, do I really need to read that? Like, is it actually part of it? I couldn't tell at first. Mm-hmm. And then I read it, and I was like, wait, is this the actual ending?
Yeah.
I got a little bit confused. I don't think I fully understood that they were for real that Superman can't return to Earth.
Yeah.
It's like, they're joking. Are they?
Yeah, it felt a little... Super Friends to me, where next month's issue is going to come out and there'll be a throwaway line about like, oh yeah, Justice League got all the kryptonite off the Earth. I mean, it took a while and it was really hard, but we're just such good super friends.
They're such good super friends that we don't even get to see them do it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. But it was hard, so it wasn't worthless, but it's done now, so.
That's so funny to think of that in comparison with Super Friends, because just a few pages before the ending, we get to see a beheaded Bizarro die.
Yeah. Also, I will say too, and we kind of did a little bit of exchange on Twitter too. It gets really confusing what's going on. In that,
oh, Steve.
Yeah, we did just praise the flow of the writing, but I really meant that for the first 4 issues. I mean, not to say that the DC Comics Presents doesn't have a flow necessarily. It's just a little incomprehensible.
I thought it had a really good, strong intro, right? It was kind of treading the same ground. Like we see him being bothered, or him being Superman's father, testing out the stuff with the Phantom Zone before he even decides to, bring it to the council to implement it.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, I'm remembering that at the time I read that and I was like, this guy's really dumb. Like, you get stuck in the Phantom Zone, you go like, hey, to my wife, and are somehow able to like, influence her to get you out. And then you go, I should put criminals in here.
Which already proves, like, his initial pitch to the Kryptonian Science Council was super wrong. They can influence the world.
He's just lying at that point.
I really didn't think of that.
Unfortunately, Jor-El has a very unfortunate streak of being correct about other things.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Anyway, so yeah, the strong intro there, with like even the guy who's sending them to the Phantom Zone, that was really interesting, the introspection there. And then they get caught up in telling me about Ether, and I get really confused.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even during the beginning, there's like narration that's supposed to be like, I don't know, like stuff that's kind of relating to Ether, like the
self.
The self. And the others' wishes coincide. They pursue most that which the self wants least. A condition of mutual contact. Pierced again, the else quits the self. Like, I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, you're okay. Go for it.
Oh, I was going to say that I think the answer lies in the art, right? Like, especially look at the General Zod page where he's split down the middle with him and his Bizarro self, right? Ether, the Phantom Zone, is the Bizarro universe, according to what Steve is, if we're picking up what Steve Gerber's putting down, right? Like, the Ether looks like the way he draws the Bizarro Zod, the way he draws Bizarro. It is the Bizarro universe, this sort of weird crystalline white skin, right? Like, it is our imperfect shadow self. And it's a child. Like, it's a child. That's what it, or rather, it's ageless, but has the understanding of a child. Like, look at that page where it kind of looks like Dia de los Muertos, the skull of Jor-El and all that. And this thing that he's encountered has never been touched by anything in our universe and does not know how to deal with it. Now, obviously, it's not particularly explicit because Ether doesn't speak backwards like Bizarro doesn't speak in opposites. But I think that's what's implied.
Okay.
Zod made Bizarro duplicates of himself, the same way that the original Bizarro showed up in Superboy.
I see. Okay, see, that was maybe some context that I was missing in terms of, because I knew from this comic that Zod had these duplicates of himself, but I thought that they were like just robots or something, you know? I didn't realize that, yeah. And I was like, I did have the observation. I was like, kind of looks like Bizarro, but that's like I was like, oh, they just, you know, just did it that way.
And to keep with the theme of the Silver Age being not exactly subtle, if you read the first appearance of the Phantom Zone, it's also the same issue as the first appearance of Zod. And Superboy he puts on like a mental helmet from Krypton that just tells him, and by extension us, everything that he needs to know, which is very silly. But he's watching Zod's trial and says, Zod tried to take over the Earth, or tried to take over Krypton with imperfect duplicates of himself. And then Superboy goes, just like that time I fought that Bizarro creature, which was also an imperfect duplicate, exactly like Zod's got here. It's like, yeah, man, we get it.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. Wow, this is like, you might be like really expanding my appreciation of this issue.
I'm trying to tell you, this book is just Steve Gerber showing off.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
And but he's paired with artists that absolutely deliver too. Like,
yeah,
Gene Colan does. I wish that the two styles were almost more simpatico, because it is really jarring. Even though I really like both of them, it's very strange to go from one art style to the other, especially because Rick Veitch can do stuff that's less grotesque than he does here. But he really pulls no punches on making these people look horrible and weird.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. It's, I don't know. I think I liked the, you know, because the final chapter goes in such a hard direction, you know, it makes such a solid choice about what it's going to do. I kind of liked the difference in art, or artist and art style. And it does feel like, you know, also a little bit like, I don't know, meta-contextual, as like an ending, you know, and ushering in the, you know, the then modern age.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think my brain even explicitly noticed the change in art style, but like I could feel it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tone. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can't wait to think more about like Bizarro and what the Phantom Zone represents.
Yeah, me too, because I actually really, really love Bizarro.
Me too.
He's probably one of my favorite Superman characters. And I love that, you know, both him and Mr. Mxyzptlk is featured in this and Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. And in kind of similar ways too. It's very interesting to me that you know, both have, like you said, I like how you said Mr. Mxyzptlk going Super Saiyan mode, and then Bizarro kind of having this tragic death, you know, and I can definitely see that. I didn't make this observation when we covered Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, but like the Silver Age representing, you know, this like time of like childhood, you know, and like, so like the tragic death of that like imperfect child, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. That's so good. Yeah. I love superhero comics so much.
Yeah, it just, that kind of makes me like not super upset, because it's not this comic's fault, right? But it's reading this, like the comics discourse around the Phantom Zone has not advanced at all. Like everybody recognizes that it sucks, but like, but I guess you can say that's kind of like the prison situation in real life. Like everybody realizes it sucks, but like nobody's doing anything about it.
Yeah, do you have a better idea than the Phantom Zone?
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting that something you could do with the Phantom Zone, if you were to tell a story with it, is that the people who are in it remain ageless. So like what happens when topside, if you will, in the real world, people forget the history of what happened in the Phantom Zone. And somebody were to come back, would they even know that that person had been in the Phantom Zone? Would they even care about their crimes anymore? What happens if somebody committed a crime that's no longer a crime? You know, because society has progressed in a way that whatever they did in the past is no longer as transgressive or seen as transgressive as it was then. Like, how do you forgive somebody for that, or do you? Or it raises a lot of questions that I don't think many of our current stable of superhero writers are necessarily equipped to answer.
Yeah, nobody's really going in depth with what the Phantom Zone really is.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you could say that Charlie Quicksell is like at least a dipped toe into that as far as like wrongful imprisonment, you know, being charged with a crime you didn't commit. But also,
that was a good reveal.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that. So when they finally do reveal it, I was like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I really wish that I'd had that experience. Like, that's so good. That's so good.
Yeah. And on top of that, you know, we didn't really mention the fact that, like, and this ties into what you were saying, Nat, the fact that, like, some of them just had, like, sentences, like, you know, like, I think the smallest infraction was, like, 30 cycles around the sun, 30 years.
Some of them are pretty short.
Yeah, but Krypton blew up. So it's like they just had to stay in there because nobody else had a Phantom Zone projector to let them out. And
they were all happy about it. They were like,
yeah.
So they never get, it never happens. Nobody gets taken out of it. So we don't even get to see that person be like, well, I didn't learn anything from that.
Yeah.
You want to hear something very funny? Speaking of the stable of people that got and sent to the Phantom Zone, you know, one of them is Dr. Zadu, or however you pronounce his name. What's so funny is in the Silver Age, when they introduce him and then they mention his wife in one panel in this, when they say, I think it's in the final issue, the DC Comics Presents one, when they're talking about like the 30 people or whatever that got sent to the Phantom Zone before the final guy who did the Rondor Horn thing. I forget, Dean or something. I don't remember her first name. But in the Silver Age, she calls her husband Dr. Zadu. Like, she doesn't use his actual name.
That's funny. Yeah, I do feel like that is like very much a Silver Ageism of like just
that's my name.
Yeah, that's my name.
Don't wear it out.
Yeah, as they're pulling their masks off and telling each other their own plans. Yeah. It's very silly.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, last thing for me, at least, is the Charlie and Superman being, you know, Superman has to look out for him a lot of times because he doesn't have his memories originally and he doesn't have his powers. And Superman's like, oh, I'll be fine because I have my powers. And then Superman gets to experience not having his powers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good role reversal, too. You're right. Yeah, and the kind of tragic sacrifice of Charlie. Mm-hmm. I forgot I was going to mention this, actually. That reminded me of Fantastic Four, This Man, This Monster, when the evil Ben Grimm, I mean, not evil Ben Grimm, but you know, the man who is masquerading as Ben Grimm and then gets
he's jealous, so he takes his place, and then he realizes, oh man, I kind of suck. And sacrifices himself for Dr. Reed, right?
Yeah, for Reed, yeah. So yeah, it's like, I mean, Charlie is not he's totally fine, you know.
He didn't even have to. I mean, that's the thing, right? He wasn't an evil guy.
No.
It's still a sacrifice.
Yeah.
By somebody who's
second
ordinary.
Sacrifice he makes for Superman.
Mm.
The reason that he got with gold kryptonite was that he threw himself into a gold kryptonite trap so that Superman wouldn't have to.
Oh, wow.
This is the second time he's given up something for Superman, which makes it incredibly powerful that he gets to be the real hero this time, like from quote unquote from the get-go, because he's wearing the costume. Like, this is all he's ever wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Dang.
Poor dude.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah. That is... Wow. I really wish kind of that there was like an ultimate collection of this that like, you know, like has like the key referenced stories of the characters that are involved, you know, not just the stuff that's written by Steve Gerber. You know, just so that you can like really like smooth through and like get the emotional impact. Like it's still a fun story, or not even just a fun story, it's a good story on its own.
I don't think I'd call it fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, fun in the aspect to read, but not not in subject matter.
I love when they turn into goop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that page it's beautiful.
About the art, we mentioned a little bit of the coloring, like even that page where Superman's dad is in the Phantom Zone. Oh my gosh, the colors are so fun with the skull.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is really good and really great colors. All throughout the book, both of the colorists do a fantastic job, I think.
And representing a zone that's where you're a not being visually.
Yeah.
That's really hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that there's probably some shared visual language from other times that the Phantom Zone has appeared, but yeah, still it's not an easy feat. Yeah, and I also think that like the pencils from Rick Veitch in the last issue, like I really like the way that the wizard character's face is like melted. It's just like yeah, so off.
Or that black and white picture of Feora where she's like, yeah, I kill men and I'll do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But at the same time, you'd almost think like, you know, with Rick Veitch being the main artist of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, you know, and you know, just his general body of work, you'd think that like, you know, the creepy aspect would be like, you know, his bread and butter only kind of, and Gene Colan, you know, really has the like, I mean, he did he also worked on Man Thing, which is technically a horror title, but like, you know, it's a little bit more like bread and butter superheroes is what I think of him as. But there is, as you said, Nat, like multiple like kind of body horror things where I'm like, ooh, that's it's kind of creepy looking, and mentioning
Really creepy.
Yeah, Feora, when they're like first talking about her crimes, it's like the men that are hanging upside down, like naked, and it's like, and the way that that's drawn is just like Well,
you know, to sort of tie it all together, with Rick Veitch and with Silver Age and Superman and stuff like that. Have any of you read Supreme by Alan Moore?
That's on my list, but I have not.
It was basically his apology for whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow.
Interesting.
Like, he doesn't feel good about writing whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow because it was so sort of mean-spirited and disheartening. Huh. And so Supreme, he took over from Rob Liefeld under the, you know, agreement that he could do whatever he wanted with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he turns this awful Image comic, you know, roided out Image comic, into a very thoughtful dissection of Silver Age Superman, where Supreme has to go back and grapple with new memories that are coming to him. And every time he goes back to a memory and you know, reflects on a memory, Rick Veitch draws that and draws it Silver Age style. And it's really, really good. It's really good. Like, it's really, really good. Rick Veitch is a fantastic artist. And the way he draws costumes, the way he draws like crinkles in a leather boot just haunts me. It's just excellent work.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's getting pushed up to my list more. Yeah. That's really great. Yeah. And also, yeah, I didn't want to talk too much about whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow, because obviously we have done an episode on it, and also we'll talk more about it in our retrospective episode after we finish our final episode of covering books. But like, it's very interesting to hear you say like how much of a downer it kind of is, because like I still find like the element of hope in that one with Clark and Lois's child like having superpowers,
Mm-hmm.
and like kind of the cycle always continues, you know, like there'll be more stories in the future kind of thing.
I can't remember if in that episode I was like, they shouldn't even had that. I can't believe they winked at the camera like that.
Like literally.
Did I want it to be a downer?
Yeah. But yeah, I almost want to like go back to that book now, and then also like listen to.
Don't get me wrong, I love that book.
Yeah,
I think it's great, but it's just not the Superman ending I would choose or elevate.
Okay. Interesting. Cool. All right, so we're running a little long here, but that's fine. We should get into our overall theme. How would you describe this portrayal of Superman compared to other popular media depictions?
We've sort of been getting into that already.
Yeah, we kind of have. I think one thing, actually, this is kind of going around the question a little bit, but it made me think, in terms of like media outside of comics, you know, it's really interesting that we've done Zod a couple of times in movies, but they never do the duplicates thing. And then also, to my chagrin, they never do Bizarro either, but I don't know. That's kind of interesting to me.
What do you mean by that, actually? What do you mean they never do the duplicates?
Well,
do they just omit that?
Yeah, I think in the original Superman 2, they have kind of similar to this story. It's like 3 Kryptonian criminals from the Phantom Zone escape, and Superman has to deal with them. But it's just those 3. That's just, you know, the threat is 3 Superman powered criminals who want to wreak havoc. And then Zod is just a military commander who tried to take over Krypton, you know, but how he did that is not ever established in any clear way. And then there's the Zack Snyder's Superman movie where, again, it's just him, but he's just a evil Kryptonian.
Do they even trap Superman in the Phantom Zone?
In the older movie?
Any of them?
No, I don't think so. I would have to rewatch Superman 2, but I don't think that they do.
Because I feel like that was what really raised the stakes for me, where I was like, I always hear about the Phantom Zone. I don't get to see it in the comics as much because I haven't read as many of these as you guys. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I don't think there's a way out of this.
Yeah, and honestly,
it feels very dire.
Yeah, it does, because it's like, what are the bounds of the Phantom Zone? And then we find out, you know.
Yeah, and Nat mentioned, the other ones, like Superman having to deal with breaking his code, killing somebody. But in this one, where it kind of dances with something introspective like that, but it's introspective in a different way, I would say. How you kind of have to delve into yourself and what do you trust, what is reality, as you try to get out of the Phantom Zone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he even says in this book that he desperately wishes he could break his code when he beats the crap
Oh my
out
gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just thinking that is a scary step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's also a very sad page. I don't want to totally derail us, but just to
No, it's fine. Go for it.
When Wonder Woman is fighting Nam Ek or not fighting him, she meets him before she starts fighting him, and she touches him with like all the compassion that is her defining feature, and he doesn't believe that she actually could stand the sight of him, and goes on this like manic rage, and starts to fight her, right? But this person's been trapped for so long without any kind of contact or anything like that. And on top of everything else, he feels, and none of these other people feel. They're all sociopaths, right? But he feels and is horribly disfigured from a mistake he made previously. So I'm not saying he's like necessarily a good guy, but it's like he's getting in the way of his own redemption. And it's really, really sad.
No, yeah.
He doesn't trust reality. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, that was I'm really glad you brought that up, because that was definitely had an impact on me too. And I liked what you just said too, Chawienta, because I don't know if this is part of the point that you were making in the first place, but yeah, like being trapped in the phantom zone where you can't really do anything and past the phantom zone. Obviously, he had not ever been past the phantom zone, but like within its realm is a non-real reality kind of thing. So like, yeah, just like being trapped there for so long too, you get that like that extra level of mistrust, I think. But yeah.
Okay, what kind of Superman fan would enjoy this comic in particular?
A masochistic one.
I think that it's definitely, it's already great as on its own, right? But I think that the emotional impact is heightened if you are already familiar with like a lot of the Silver Age. But yeah, so like maybe, I would say that like somebody who's already kind of a pre-crisis fan, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I do think you probably need a little bit more background before you read this comic. Like, I just don't think some of the like things that happen will have as much of a long-term impact unless I read some more Silver Age stuff from before this.
I think that it works as a gateway to the Silver Age because it's got all of us talking about the Silver Age and wanting to go back and read the source material for this, right?
That's true.
And that's 50 years of history that a lot of people don't take seriously anymore because it is very dated and silly, in its presentation, but its actual content is quite good. And you can take things from it and turn them into stuff that is modern and does have, modern sensibilities, right? With this emotional heft. And we kind of lost that with Crisis on Infinite Earths. I see virtues in both halves because we're almost like as far out from Crisis on Infinite Earths as it was from the beginning of superhero comics. But there's virtues to both halves, but you can't just dismiss what came before like Crisis did. There's a lot there to be mined and to be appreciated. And I think this book can help people understand that. Yeah.
No, I really agree with you there. And that's kind of a similar, I had a similar thing to say about Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow too, where that was kind of I think that was probably my first pre-crisis Superman I ever read. When I read it, years and years ago. But, yeah, so I do think that it can be a good gateway to Silver Age.
Sorry, there's something funny about calling it a gateway because all I think is gateway drug. But it's true.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying I'm not addicted to comics.
Yeah.
We can quit anytime.
Yeah. I definitely don't.
He says as he buys 5 new Silver Age Superman comics.
Yeah. Not to mention how many I buy every Wednesday.
Jesus.
Anyway, so as we're getting out of time here, but before we close the show, I was honestly on the fence of whether to include this question at all because it's kind of strange. I feel like especially even more so than, again, not to push the point, but whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow. But what is one thing that we would hope to see if this story continued?
Yeah, we keep reading these Superman endings and we keep asking this question. We sort of answered it though, right? We want to see this sort of depth taken to a modern comic of Superman. I don't know if any of them are delving into like Kryptonian.
Now the Phantom Zone is just like, where do we dump Doomsday for like 6 months?
They literally are
before he
becoming
escapes?
just like Kryptonians. They're just using the Phantom Zone to ignore their problems.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's very symbolic in its own right. I mean, look what happened to Krypton.
They need to break the cycle.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly though, yeah, man, I really do want to dip more into Silver Age comics as a whole, because like, you know, there is the whole aspect of the idea that Krypton is a different planet from in space, but also it's kind of Earth in the future. And and so like, you know, just that like the way that like modern,
Isn't that like Superman Red Sun did that?
they do literalize it in that one.
Well, that's Mark Millar, so
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. But yeah, just like the way that like, you know, there's you know, Superman and Superboy like interacting with the Legion of Superheroes in the 31st century, and he gets to like kind of like grow up doing a lot of adventures there, and it's like even though he has no memory of home, you know, being in the future is kind of like being home. As far as Krypton. And but where I'm trying to get at though is that yeah, if there was like some way to show humanity being more like Krypton in the way that they treat prisoners with the Phantom Zone, I suppose, yeah. And having that parallel be explored.
Because we basically do memory hole people. We shove them into the oubliette that is the American prison system.
Yeah.
And we never hear from them again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When do
Very
we get a
sad.
comic where somebody gets out of the Phantom Zone and has to try to rebuild?
Yeah.
Like Mon-El or somebody.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. I will I
Oh my
won't
gosh.
go too far, but I did want to mention Mon-El, where I was just all like, he doesn't get to do much.
He really does, which is so funny because that's exactly what his like Silver Age intro is. Like, oh, it's just this guy Superman met, and then it's like, oh no, you're allergic to lead. Here, let me put you in prison for your own good.
And then they're like, okay, bye. We're going to try to find a way out.
Thank you, Superboy. Thank you.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting, you know, like, because yeah, I don't know, and yeah, the fact that he's allergic to lead too, I'm like, I mean, I know they had leaded gasoline back then, and like a lot, like, but I just feel like in lead paint, but I feel like he'd be safe now, right?
No, not if he vapes. Not if he vapes.
Well, how do you
There's-
rebuild when your whole planet's destroyed?
Well, that's
All over again.
That's a Daxamite thing. Unlike the kryptonite where you just have to get away, if you're exposed to lead once, it's like forever poison.
Just like lead to us.
Like in the same
Yeah,
room?
it actually, yeah.
Yeah.
How far away does he have to be?
Yeah.
No, it's forever.
Well, no. Yeah.
I'm so
But I mean,
confused.
can he, like, obviously, you know, just like us, he would not want to eat lead or touch it, but like, would he develop his allergic reaction by being in a close vicinity to it?
These are tricky questions.
Yeah.
It's almost like superhero stories are incredibly silly.
Yeah. Anyway, I did not mean to get on that tangent. All right. I feel like we've properly answered this question though. Or Jake, did you have something that you'd want to see if it continued?
I would like to see, although it wouldn't be mentioned at all, is like, because World War III is like started and averted in the background.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I forgot about that.
And like nobody mentions it because I guess like there is more important stuff going on with like Earth going to the Phantom Zone, but everybody just fired all their nukes and none of them went off. I feel like that would have some ramifications.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get some new salt talks going.
A world without Superman.
Yeah.
I think if I wanted to see this continue, which of course is a loaded kind of question, if I wanted to see this continue, I would want to see. It would have to keep with the theme of Superman not being able to be Superman anymore because he's left on Earth, right? He's not in space. He's on Earth. He's by the Lincoln Memorial at the end. And he just kind of can't move because there's kryptonite everywhere. That's what I'm assuming, right? He's just kind of trapped there until somebody brings him like a full body radiation suit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then I want to see what kind of, and I know I can't curse here, so what kind of messed up stuff the new Ether Mixius Pitlick does to the universe, right? I mean, he is, there's nobody that could stop him. There's nobody.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, maybe in like, I feel like this is maybe more of a modern sense of the character, but maybe the Spectre.
I don't think the Spectre too. That actually did cross my mind when I was saying nobody could, but you know what? I'm sticking with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody. When you're the writer, you can do whatever you want.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. Great answer. Well, that is all the time we have. This has been our episode on Superman Phantom Zone with special guest Nat Yonce of Collective Action Comics. If you liked this episode, be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Comic Panel 1 and listen to more of us on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our title is The Comic Panel Podcast. You can also listen to us on KSUARadio.com or 91.5 FM in Fairbanks, Alaska. And if you liked listening to Nat, be sure to listen to Collective Action Comics wherever you listen to podcasts, where he does deep dives into specific runs of superhero comics to dissect the working class history and literary implications from a Marxist lens. Be sure to tune in 2 weeks from now for our next Superman book, Absolute Superman: Last Dust of Krypton. I'm Cody.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Chawienta.
I will remain Nat.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.